constituency who didn't vote for him, but based on the remote views, we're heralding in the new green economy with Silicon Valley, and who the president is doesn't really matter. And he's 78 years old, and he takes a back seat to policies. There is going to be a civil war within MAGA between the libertarians and the people that want to do entrepreneurship and those people that want to have evangelical Christian ideas. But they're going to have to battle it out for themselves. It's going to weaken the Republican Party, and it may be an opportunity for the Democrats to come in during midterms and take back the House. Yeah. Okay, Joel Tilson, America and the world can't make deals with Putin. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, Joel, but, like I said, 2 days of yelling at people, it was not fun for me. It wasn't fun for the people that volunteered to help me with this project, but we spent 2 days doing war games, and it was just irrefutable. You cannot do a deal with people that are calling to wipe you off the face of the map. When Obama did the Iran deal, that money unfortunately went to promoting Hezbollah. Hamas, the money went to basically killing people. So unfortunately, Obama tried it. And we learned from that experience that if people are determined to kill you, you can't make a deal with them. And so I think even Obama would agree that, after October 7th, it's simply, I think everybody's coming to the same conclusion, with the 5 steps, unfortunately. But, would the Democrats be able to implement it? Let's be honest. I don't think so. I think that the Democrats would constantly be dealing with obstruction. No, don't hurt that guy. Well, he's a terrorist, but do you really have to arrest him? I mean, God bless us, and I'm a proud Democrat, but we sometimes work against our own best interest. And, maybe that is what many Democrats feel, that maybe these nut jobs need to go in there and just get the rebuild started. And then let's talk about, and once the crazy, then what, let's focus on midterms. Let's focus on midterms. The ruble is crashed. I don't think the ruble could crash any more than it has. Good point by Joel Tilson. Why did the data come out the way it did regarding Russia and Iran? The data for, this was the day. This is what I saw. But then, you always want to challenge with research if you do remote viewing. Why did it come out that way, Joel? And I think what Joel is saying is 100% correct. You can't do a deal with a psychopath. Over the issue of BRICS, where we're talking about Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, and South Africa doing business together, and that whole conversation we've had in the past about trade routes, and that a lot of this started because people were unhappy with, Russia was unhappy with how they felt that their trade was being obstructed. Regarding issues of Putin's health, I've always felt that Putin had a drug problem. I always felt like he was keeping a drug addiction secret. And I think that a lot of his mental health problems, his crazy, irrational behavior that we've seen over the last couple of years are all symptoms of a drug addiction. And when I went in to try and get documents for people on Prigozhin, I think it was Joel that asked me to go in originally a couple of years ago, it looked like he was supplying drugs to Putin. And so the conclusion from that remote is that we may be looking at Putin having been compromised by Prigozhin because Prigozhin knew about his drug problem and was in fact one of his suppliers. So he wasn't just supplying food to the army, he was supplying other things as well. And he was costing the Russian economy $1 billion a year, which is a lot of money considering that they had a GDP of Italy. And that was one of the reasons why they fired Prigozhin. But also, they're they're going to be having the Abraham Accords, and they don't want, if you look back at the rebuild, you can't make a deal with them. So Trump had talked about, well, can we get the Abraham Accords to be can we include Iran in and Russia in the Abraham Accords? You know, you got BRICS, maybe instead we'll have the Abraham Accords for trade. Syria and Russia and Iran will be trading with, we'll have new trade partners through the Abraham Accords. Well, the conclusion is no. And so Trump's idea of breaking Iran and then getting them to agree to something that was going to be the Abraham Accords, clearly a conversation is happening with Donald Trump. And clearly that conversation is, it ain't happening, babe. It's never going now it will happen under the Shah, but it's not going to happen under this government. Eventually they're going to get an Abraham Accords with the new Iran, but not until Iran is under new leadership. Yeah. Wow, you guys are asking really good questions. All right. When I put myself in the shoes of being a government official over the issue of Trump and what to do with Trump if Trump was going to be removed, my conclusion was the best place to put Trump would be a military base, some kind of a prison inside of a military base. If that was what the conclusion was based on the remote views. That's not to say he'll be found guilty because we don't really see the future and that will happen. But had he lost and had he things continued to deteriorate for him, and the only conclusion I could come to of where they could put him is in an isolated prison-like situation inside a military base for security reasons. House arrest would have been nearly impossible because you would have had a different wingnut trying to break him out of his house every other day, and the security, and you would have had helicopters and drones. It just doesn't work. And so you would have to put him in an area where there was no drone flying. And so the conclusion from my remotes was, and to prevent from break-ins, was some kind of military prison or uh, uh, cottage, or call it what you will, under house arrest inside of a U.S. military base. Yeah.